Hi, I'm Tara Atkins, and I'm the chairperson of Art and Bloom. And today we are with John Mackey, Master of Design and former owner of John Mackey Design in Dunmore. He is here to help us learn how to create a flower arrangement and also give us many, many tips. So John, welcome, and let's see what you can show us.
Thank you, Tara. So today we're going to create something. There's many different ways we can create a floral design. Today we're going to do something for a tabletop, a tablescape. So a lot of people have a lot of concern that sometimes we make them too high. You can't talk to the person across the table. So we're going to try to make this one a little low but thick. Low and thick. We're not going to use any greens.
Like me, low and thick.
Like you. No. But so let's start. If you're a newbie and you're not really have not done too many floral arrangements, big flowers work out nice because they take up a lot of space and they make the thickness. So I'm going to start with the hydrangeas, which are right over here. We have some white hydrangea. So you take your hydrangea. Hydrangea needs to stay hydrated. The tube, basically the stem is a tube and it has to have a lot of water in it. If you're working with a vase just with water like we are today, I still cut at an angle, but the purpose of cutting at an angle is if you're doing floral arrangements with Oasis, which looks like sponge, and you can buy it at any one of your craft stores, but you slide it in, so it creates a little spear, so when it goes into the Oasis, it stays put. But today we're not going to do that, but it's a good habit to get into, to cut it at an angle. So we're going to just put in some hydrangea. I'm leaving the greens on this one particular arrangement because I want it to be thick. And in order to make it thick, we're going to leave the greens on. But you very easily can remove the greens. And the truth is, if you remove the greens, the flower will last longer because this needs water. And without the greens, the water will continue right up to the...
John, I have a question about the water.
Sure.
Should you use warm water, cool water, room temperature water? Should you put anything in the water to make them last longer?
And that's a great question, but it really depends. Warm water, and I mean warm water, almost hot water, for roses is spectacular. So you cut it at the angle, you remove as many of the leaves as possible. It'll get your flower to bloom much faster and much quicker, but also you're shortening the life of it.
Okay.
So for the wedding industry, we always did that because we wanted the flowers to be in showroom condition the day of the event. Mm-hmm. So we didn't really care what happened after the event. So we cut them at the angle, we get them into the warmest water and the warmest environment that we could to get them to blow open. So this rose was not in warm water, it was in lukewarm water for like maybe the last 48 hours. But over here, we have these roses that were in very, very warm water. And it's ironic, this is a Pink Floyd. And it's
Do you accept this rose? I do.
So anyway, so the next thing we're gonna do, we have our base. I put in 3 nice hydrangeas. And then the next thing we're gonna do is let's add some color. We're gonna do the Pink Floyd since we're just talking about the roses. Again, you cut it at an angle and you're gonna put it in. The cutting process is, my opinion on the cutting process is to go longer. You can always shorten it, you cannot add to it. so right. Keep the length, and then therefore, like I said, you can shorten it. And I like to put lengths like this, that's kind of long. A lot of people like to cut the length of the vase. I always go longer, and I like to put it at an angle, and it just fits in. So as you can see, we have some white, and we have that going on right there. I also like clusters. I'm a cluster designer. I really enjoy it. So like this one's definitely too long, so we're going to shorten it up a little bit. But then we're going to tuck it in right next to that one. And we're going to put some on the other side as well.
They're so pretty.
They're beautiful, aren't they? And Pink Floyd is one of my favorite.
Pink Floyd?
Pink Floyd, just like the band.
That's awesome.
Great, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's it. It's
beautiful.
I've got 2 more.
So pretty.
Yeah, absolutely beautiful.
Now, if you wanted to color the water, can you do like
Absolutely.
you do like
Coloring.
and that won't affect the flowers, or will it?
It won't affect it as far as the living, but it will, like this white hydrangea will start to turn whatever color. The color. So if we put like some pink dye in there, these will start getting a pinky cast to them, which is kind of cool. In Holland, I've had the opportunity to go there and see that tulip fields and the rose
beautiful.
fields. And they actually dye the earth.
Oh.
They water some of their flowers with colored water, and therefore I'm sure people have seen those roses with the rainbow colors on them.
That's how they do
That's
it.
how but they do it through the earth, not, which is pretty interesting.
That is interesting.
It is. So we have a nice base here. We got some
Pretty.
pink going around. And we're gonna add some some zest. I think an orange really is a great color to pop. These are spray roses, and a spray rose, as you can see, grows in a cluster. It grows several on a stem, but like when you pull them together. Now, I'm gonna just put them in freely, but you also can take a couple of them and you can use rubber bands. Again, I would remove all the greens from them, but you can take a rubber band to cluster them together, or floral tape,
Oh yeah.
and then it makes it tighter.
So these aren't just miniature roses, they're a type of rose.
It's a type of rose, and
Okay.
it's an orange spray rose. But like, see how they look better that way and then like that.
Yeah.
So now I'm gonna just do a freehand. But again, after you cut it, you can run a rubber band up there and keep to get that cluster, or you can do it just put them in freely like this. Just hold them tight. Don't be afraid of it. You're not gonna hurt it. The odds are you're not gonna break it. The stems
Look
are
how
kind
gorgeous
of.
that looks. They look like they're hooked together.
Yeah,
I like
exactly.
that.
But for those who aren't real floral people who've never done this before, rubber bands, floral tape helps it a lot. It makes it look great. So I think that looks really cool. Then I'm gonna put some zest of color. We're gonna put some purple. This is a bulb flower. Do you know what that is?
What do you mean?
Do you know what
Flower?
you know what flowers is?
Hyacinth? Hyacinth?
Hyacinth.
Hyacinth.
She
Oh, I was
knows her
like,
flowers.
ah!
And it's a bulb flower.
It
meaning
smells
that
so
people
good.
plant these in this area. They plant them in the fall, and they grow. And so a lot of people don't know a hyacinth can be put into an arrangement, but of course it can. When a hyacinth comes to me, it's tight, real tight on top. So these are actually a week old already. I got these in the end of last week because I wanted to. I want them blooming for you guys. However, it's definitely a flower that lasts a long time because again, it's a bulb flower. You put it in the water, and it really takes a week to get to this point, and this will last at least another 5 to 7 days. So it's kind of cool.
I like to do, I grow a lot of flowers myself, so I never thought of me to use those. I didn't really think about it. I've cut them and put them in vase, but never thought to use them in arrangements.
Correct, and a lot of people don't.
Now, what if we can't afford to go out and buy a lot of like roses and stuff, but we want to still do an arrangement? Are there special kinds of nicer greens that we can use, or other things that we could?
Well, it's depending on time of year. I mean, obviously at Christmas time, the pines, and most people have pine trees in the yard. You can go crazy with pines. In the summer, my mind never stops. So I drive the highways around here and I look at the trees and say, oh my God, that'd make a great centerpiece, just the way the branches sticking out of the tree.
Right.
Springtime, the buds. And I don't mean bud flowering bud trees, even oak trees. Oak trees come out with a little yellow like bud. I mean, you cut that, put that into a vase, it looks like $1 million. It looks really great. So as you can see, we got some purple going on in there.
Love it.
I love it too. So we're gonna spruce up with some yellow. I think yellow's gonna make it pop.
And y'all can't smell this because you're on video, but it smells beautiful here. I feel like I'm in a greenhouse, not a museum. Pretty.
So I'm gonna do the same thing I showed you with the spray roses with the cluster, just because these are smaller. This is a 40 centimeter rose opposed to this is a 60 centimeter rose, and the centimeters, believe it or not, are the length.
Oh,
But the
okay.
longer the rose, the bigger the head.
Ah,
So these are 40 centimeter yellow roses. So I'm gonna put a whole bunch of them together. Do you want to grab some?
beautiful.
Take
Want
the
me to
greens
try?
off. Yeah, take the greens off. Perfect.
Look at me.
Look at her. Someone tells me she can do it.
I also love when you do it this way because then you can just throw this stuff all over the floor, which we're not doing in the museum, of course, right?
You
But
should see,
at home.
back in the day, you used to see the showroom or the workroom. It was in really rough shape by the end of the day. But
I use a lot of herbs too, because I have an herb garden right outside my kitchen, so I'm always cutting it. And that, I think, always smells really yummy too.
Oh, absolutely.
Flower arrangements.
Oh, absolutely.
Little mint.
Absolutely.
Rosemary.
Absolutely. And I even love using fruit in like pears and grapes. I think that looks great. And you mentioned earlier about like coloring the water. I remember over the years like filling the vase with lemons. We'd slice the lemons up and place them around, put whole lemons in the middle, and put the centerpiece on top of that. Came out stunning. Oranges, limes,
Cranberries.
Absolutely. With the cranberry, a little trick is, or any of the fruits, but you put a larger vase and then you put a smaller vase inside, and then you can just fill it around.
Oh, that's good.
The channel going around, and then you put the water in the middle and build it over there. It's a nice.
Oh my God, we could do a whole show.
Yeah.
A whole show.
So, as you see, I pull them tight. Again, you could rubber band them to give you that nice tight, because again, you don't want that, you want more like that. So you can rubber band them, or you can tape it with floral tape. So now this one, I want to fill in this hole. I don't know if you can see the hole I have back here going on right over on this side, but I want to fill in this corner of the hole. So I'm going to cut it a little shorter rather than longer. And I'm gonna keep my hands holding it tight here, but I'm gonna tighten it at the bottom a little bit. And I'm looking for a little hole down in there. And I'm gonna slide my roses in, all of them. This way they're in the water. And believe it or not, they're interlocking with each other, and they're going to give me stability and look, maybe.
I wish we had one of those chef mirrors so you could see from above.
Right,
That would be so cool.
A drone.
Oh, beautiful.
So, doesn't that look cute?
So, you know what I'm thinking too, when you have these little bouquets? So say you're having a dinner party and you do this, well, after the dinner party, you could take out one of the bouquets, dry it off a little bit, wrap it in some paper, and just give them out to the different guests. Take home with them.
Fabulous idea.
That way you don't have to worry about them, and then it's a little like, oh, you know, you remember the night.
And in that case, I would design it with how many guests I was having. So everybody could get like a little bouquet, so you can maybe do less hydrangeas and more of these little bouquets. I love that idea.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that.
That's a grand idea.
Do that.
So we're gonna work with some of the ostra. I want to put a pop of green in here.
Okay.
So I'm gonna grab a whole bunch of ostra. And again, this is a flower that, oh my God, it's impossible to kill. It's impossible to kill.
You'll notice sometimes in restaurants they have these in little vases and they just keep cutting them shorter and shorter because they last so long.
Correct.
They really do. They're beautiful. Now I know like Gerber daisies or some other plants, they put like a stick in them or something because to help them stand up better.
Correct. You can. There's several ways to do that as well. They do that with roses as well. You take the flower and you can take extra wire, some floral wire, and you pierce it through and you just bend it down on the one side just a little bit, almost like an ornament hook, and you just wrap it lightly going around so you get to the bottom, how far down you want it. It'll keep the rose standing straight up. That's kind of an old school way. I'm more freelance. Where we like the flowers to to just do their thing. My whole one of my theories is to just make the bouquet look like you went out into the garden and you had magnificent flowers and you put them into a beautiful vase and have it and have at it.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
So I just added like a third hot pink rose over here, pink Floyd, because I don't like symmetrical. So, and I know we started out a little symmetrical with 3, and then the 3 little. So now, I'm going to go through it, and I'm going to kind of spruce it up a little bit and not make it so symmetrical as it was. So this will be our last flower that we'll put into this arrangement, and I'm using 4 stems, and I'm cutting them almost the depth of the base going down. So you can see I'm going. And again, these I want a little looser, so it's okay, because they're going to fill in any of our open spots on the top, but yet they're going to go down deep enough, and they fill in.
Oh.
So really beautiful.
Again, John Mackey, master of design.
Right.
It's gorgeous.
We're not done yet.
Oh, we're not done yet.
No. So when we talked about the hyacinths, the hyacinths grow out of the garden. I'm sure you've all seen them, and they have the greens on it. They grow something like that, and the bulb at the bottom. So I plucked off, and actually these fall off. the greens fall off. Most people throw them away, not me. I like to go around and just add them for a little, just to give it that 3-dimensional. Just keep turning your floral arrangement and add them in. And give it that, like I said, that gardeny, beautiful.
So pretty.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of them.
Usually the deer eat mine.
Yes, and I believe that. I hear it's hard to keep them from eating them.
There is something called milgorgonite, I believe that's how you say it, that I've gotten before, and I put it around the tulips and
Does it
other
work?
spring flowers, and it does work pretty well. But you have to continually do it.
Great.
Your range, you have to keep doing it. Beautiful.
Just gives it just a little extra.
That's
And,
gorgeous.
and you can't put too many. So don't think like, how many should I put or how many should I not put? Just put them into, think it looks great.
I think that's a problem. People think too hard about
Right,
it. You
absolutely.
just need to go
Floral
for it.
design is really just keep going. I mean, you get your inspiration from nature. Just look around how things grow in your yard, how things grow in the park, how things grow when you're out and you see, and that's really what it is. It's all natural and just pretty.
And do you ever
nice.
mix real and artificial at all, ever? Or no?
Very, very rare. Very rare. Over the years, when we had the wedding business, we used to make fabulous lush chandeliers that we would hang over ballrooms. So we definitely use all fresh greens, but then we might add in some artificial, a good quality artificial. Only because when you're up in the air like that, the heat,
Right.
and it has to be done so far in advance because and fresh might wilt and die.
Exactly.
So
That's true. That's safe.
so.
I have another question.
Sure.
If you were working with Oasis, how long would you soak that for?
24 hours.
Just 24 hours.
24
okay.
hours. The longer the better because it absorbs. But I'm just looking here. I'm picking up like some of this. A couple of the heads fell off of the spray roses. So over here, I have some floating candles, and you can just add the very inexpensive in a beautiful way. Just add a little something for your table because I love centerpieces, but I think it's the whole table, the whole scape that makes the flowers look even more beautiful. So I would add, as you can see, I have some flowers over here. I just had some buds in here and with the floating candles in a little shallow vase. Behind it we have nothing in it, which I think is great. Less is more, and then just keep going with your centerpiece. So basically, there we got it. There we have it.
That's beautiful. Let's go party.
Yes. Dinner's at your house.
Okay. That's gorgeous.
There you go.
Beautiful. Well, John, thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure.
I hope that you guys found this very informative, and now go out and get some flowers and get some branches and some berries and nuts and grapes and create your own centerpiece. And please join us on March 27th for Art and Bloom. Thank you.
Thank you.